What's up, folks? Maximilian here, and just recently released is Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus on Xbox 360. I know that title is a little confusing and pretty damn long, but the Guilty Gear series, if you guys are not familiar with it, I'll give you some gameplay footage right now to highlight it. Guilty Gear series has been around for quite some time. It started with the original PlayStation. The one I got introduced with was on the Dreamcast with Guilty Gear X, and I played quite a bit of Guilty Gear XX as well in the arcades. It's a very fun game, and it's kind of the birth of anime fighters, quote-unquote. I might be giving a little bit of incorrect information there. I'm not too sure the history of games of this type, but when it comes to high definition, high pixel amount, Guilty Gear kind of started it. The higher fidelity of animation was definitely much more apparent in games like Third Strike, but Guilty Gear featured the high definition of characters in 2D sprite models that not many games had ever seen before. I remember the first time I laid my eyes on Guilty Gear X, it blew my freaking mind how big the characters were, how much stuff was going on the screen, how detailed the backgrounds were. It's just, it was amazing to look at. And it kind of stood the test of time because it became a huge competitive game, and there was a gigantic Guilty Gear scene to this day, and it's one of those games that just kind of like keeps going in the competitive community. And luckily we get this title to finally come out and support us for the current consoles, because I'm not too sure if Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus came out on any other consoles, but like the Wii? I think it might have come out on the Wii a little while ago. Nonetheless, so we get this version of the game, and I'm really excited about playing it because finally I can enjoy Guilty Gear Online. Like, that's one of the most important factors. For anybody that is really interested, this is going to be a quick online summary and review for Guilty Gear, since we did a little bit of an introduction to so you guys know where this is coming from. So I fired up Guilty Gear Online with the anticipation of it being, like a similar netcode to like the Guilty Gear series and the Persona series. And for the first couple of games, it ran fairly good, and I was like, okay, so we might have a game here. It took me a while to accompany myself with the Guilty Gear button layout and controls once again, and I started getting the hang of it, playing Saw Bad Guy and biking and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun, and I was really enjoying myself for a few games, and then all of a sudden it all went downhill. And there were so many problems that became very glaring. The online features for this game are bare minimum. There is no lobbies for support of any kind in player match or ranked match. When you get into a ranked match, you give an option to search by area, search by connection type, and search by rank, and you can just turn that on and off. However, this doesn't seem to work at all. When you go into a custom game, you can actually search by these properties, and it gives you a list of the games available, but this list doesn't change when you set each of the searching parameters. If not, it gets shorter when you open them up sometimes. It's really weird, and it makes no sense. I even turned everything off and said search by connection quality only, and I literally was finding one bar connections with people in Japan. So I was like, okay, I'll just set it to be the same area of connection, and then it starts pairing me up with people in the UK. I'm like, dude, what is going on? So eventually it leads me to play a bunch more of like quick match, because it just seems to get you people the fastest. And then about 1 out of every 5 games for the longest time, I couldn't even establish a connection. I would run into somebody in online ranked, and literally it would drop out, and it wouldn't let you play the game. Run into somebody, and it would drop out. Get to the menu, or get to the character selection screen, it would drop out. And then sometimes you'd finally be able to get into a game. This was really disconcerting because during this time frame I was trying to like learn Guilty Gear once again, and all you want when you're playing an online fighting game is to get into the next match as soon as possible. The worst thing that you can possibly have in any online fighter is to have to stare at menus. And this was even bigger an issue when I started finally getting into games, and then some would run pretty good, and then some would run absolutely horribly. And when I mention horribly, I mean stuttering in the animation. During moments of action, there would be a message that would come up and would say, please wait, in the middle of a fight, and then the match would resume, but just be extremely laggy or stuff like that. And it was like the connection quality would just vary so much. It's really, really disheartening to see a game like this, and it really deserves something like a good netcode, because it's a real classic fighter. And since like the previous titles that Capcom has been coming out with, like Marvel vs. Capcom Origins and Third Strike, to an extent, you know, these titles have actually really good netcode, and they're performing really well online. And it just sucks that Guilty Gear is not getting the same treatment, because Guilty Gear in itself is a really great fighting game. And it's one that's a lot of fun, but unless you have somebody local that you can play with online, I do not suggest playing people from distance, and I do not suggest playing ranked in this game. It is not fun, and it is really difficult. So give it a little bit of caution and maybe give it some time to wait for a patch. There is another patch coming out for this game. It's going to add the plus R to it, so it's literally going to be Guilty Gear XX Accent Core plus R, which is the latest release that's coming out in the arcade. I'm not too sure of the inclusions there. It might have a couple more characters and balance changes, but that's the best hope we have, is that when the game eventually gets patched by the developers, that the plus R version will have a competent online. So my apologies if you guys aren't going to get any ranked matches for Guilty Gear. I literally spent a couple of hours trying to play the game, and really did not get any decent footage at all. It was a little rough, and it's a very frustrating right now to try to jump into Guilty Gear Online. But if you're looking for an offline experience to play with friends, absolutely pick Guilty Gear Accent Core up on Xbox Live. It is a blast if you're planning on playing not online. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the impressions, and let me know what you think if you had some time playing Guilty Gear Online as well. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you folks next time.